Justin, today was a side quest. It's kind of bringing back Macrec After Dark. The OGs might remember, but me and Justin, we would talk about economics pretty much,
Yeah, daily.
pretty often on macroeconomics. And then we'd talk about some other things until our other channel got banned, called Confirming Your Biases. But today we were at actually Six Flags, and Nathan's over there doing whatever the hell he does, going on roller coasters. And then we got dinner. It's not a whole lot else is going on. What did we even talk about, Justin? Was there any good discussions?
So the big thing was that what Josh, last year you and I were at Disney World. We were at Disney World for I don't know half a day or whatever, right?
Just the lighting. Yeah, just keep going.
Yeah, so we were at Disney World for half a day, and compared like Disney World to Six Flags here in San Antonio, like Six Flags was like light years ahead of Disney World. Granted, you don't have a bunch of clowns wandering around in costumes, but the rides, the people,
well, it's more so the people. Yeah. When we were in Disneyland or whatever, we were at Rebel Capital's live event for macroeconomics. It was, if you've ever seen WALL-E, it was like the kids were walking besides the 900-pound parents that were being just strolled around in the scooters, where it was just a weird phenomenon. And it was just woke virtue signaling the entire time. This was literally just roller coasters. It was actually pretty damn fun. I was being a pussy-o, though. I always loved roller coasters, but for some reason, every single time we were in line, I was just like, fuck, Justin, Nathan, I don't want, let's get off this one. Let's do something else instead. And every single one I ended up loving. So it was a great time.
Yeah. The second one was the second third one we went on. It was one of those ones that sneaks up and you know it's big, but you don't know like how big it is until you're on it. And that was a fun one.
Yeah. What did we talk about today? Because usually I just go over my day. Was there anything interesting? Because we had a few drinks and at dinner, I'm a little bit buzzed and my brain's not working too well.
You know, I don't know if we talked about anything too in depth. There was quite a bit of discussion around like psychedelics and the proper use for.
Nathan, what are the proper use of psychedelics? Just post up next to Justin. Just come on over here.
Like ayahuasca, for example. Like, like factoring that in the sense of like, look, you've got these really powerful tools that you can use that might be really good at, helping people get some things sorted out, confronting their demons, whatever, right?
So what are the actual benefits of those kinds of? Because I'm always anti-drug, but what are the benefits of these kinds of things?
Well, and just to be clear, like there's one thing of doing like drugs, like
cocaine.
Misusing them and like not, and just using them in a stupid bullshit manner. But there's something else to say, okay, well, wait a minute, this is something that we can use because it can solve a particular problem that we know we have, and you're using it maybe for the highest and best purpose versus just using it for.
What is the purpose though? So, yeah, Justin, Nathan, walk me through the actual purpose.
You're stuck in a certain state of mind on a certain set of things and you just can't find a way out of it. You can probably utilize psychedelics in a way to make your mind a little bit more flexible and fluid to be able to recalculate your interpretation of situations that you just can't find a way out of.
And maybe to build upon that, I would say it's like sometimes you've just got to reset your phone when it's going slow. Something like that might be a way to like soft reset your brain, where it's like, okay, listen, you're just going to take it offline for a little bit and let it go through a reset, and then when it boots back up, it might boot back up with whatever or without whatever was troubling you before.
Yeah. So how does that differ from weed? Because I smoked a little bit of weed in high school, not a lot, but I would freak out. I would get super anxious and paranoid. How does that differ from psychedelics?
I mean, it's a totally different.
Because that's what comes to my mind. If I think of weed, I think it's like
sport.
What is the difference though?
Well, like.
Well, like the way I would describe,
Do you do psychedelics, Justin?
No, but like I would consider doing ayahuasca.
Yeah, I would too. I said if I were going to, I would do it in Peru atop of Mount Machu
with
Picchu.
A shaman,
Yeah, because that I know a lot of people who've done that. Everyone who's done it recommends it.
But see, that goes back to the point too. It's like if you're using these very powerful substances, you need to show them the respect that they're due. You just don't want to use them for shits and giggles. So I think that's a huge component too. I would say that and we also talked about THC cream. Like there's Nordic Goddess is what we bought. Yeah, like if you've got a sore muscle or whatever, right? This stuff actually is really good at helping when you work through the pain. You don't get buzzed or anything using it. It's just a cream, right? And truth be told, it's probably better than whatever Big Pharma wants to sell you. How do you know that? Probably because Big Pharma's trying to ban it.
Yeah,
There you go.
we were also talking a lot about the distrust of the current school system and or just going against the grain and what it takes to be a risk taker.
Oh, and along those lines, we had a really good, I guess this afternoon, talking about, I think many people, and this isn't necessarily wrong because some want to do this, everyone wants to triumph, but they don't necessarily want to risk. And the problem is that there is going to be risk in whatever you want to do, and you can't arbitrage it away indefinitely. And if you think you can arbitrage it away indefinitely, well, frankly, you can't. Or there's a 99.999% chance that you can't, which means that you're actually importing risk. You just don't know where the risk lies, which is maybe even worse because you don't necessarily know the underlying cost of what's going on. At least if you know where the risk is, yeah, it might be big and scary, but at least it's like, okay, listen, I need to keep an eye on this here or that over there. But if you think, oh, this investment's safe, secure, or whatever, I don't need to worry about anything, that's like, I would argue, an even more egregious thing.
Justin, as you always pointed out to me, it's not what you know that gets you into trouble, but what you, or it's not what you don't know that gets you into trouble, but it's what you do know that just ain't so. And what the main key of that was college, and we were using myself for an example, or I was. It's kind of, you narrow down what you know you don't want. And I was looking around at everyone who was going to college and maybe graduated and realized that was not the route that I wanted. And the way I thought about it was, my goal was to make a lot of money, I wanted to start a business. What college professor did I know that made a lot of money or started a business? None. There's almost no college professor that started a business. So I thought, instead, if I know that that's what I want, and what I don't want is to learn from someone that's never done it. And if every single person goes to college, that is the average result and that is the average outcome. Why would you expect an above average outcome if you go to college?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the two things immediately come to mind on that front is, just earlier today, it's the meme of following the rules brought you to these results. Of what purpose was the rule or rules in the first place? And the second thing is, if you don't know what it is that you do want to do, if you can at least figure out what it is you don't want to do, you can at least, back into the final answer versus trying to jump into the answer. It might be a bit easier than that.
And it's a tough decision to go against the grain, especially when your parents and your friends don't approve of what you're doing, because everyone, to some degree, if you're doing something right, will counter that. And one of the main points that we were talking about is, I need to thank George Gammon for this, is he was always talking about in his videos, he said that the best decisions he ever made, that he made the most money, that the best businesses that he started, is when everyone else called him the most crazy. And so when I was saying I wasn't going to college when I was in high school and I was going to do all these other things, everyone called me crazy. And because I had some sort of external source that was saying, yeah, whenever someone called me crazy, that's when I had the best results, I swayed towards that, because in my gut, I knew what was right. And I think most people have a new feeling as to what they should or should not do. But it's much harder to do what you want to do when you are more concerned about what other people think of you doing. And when you're young, you don't want to disappoint your family and then those elders who you look up to, or your friends who are all doing the same thing. I mean, it takes a lot of balls. And I'm not saying this to brag, to gloat on myself because it happened to work out for me. I'm saying this more because I know there's a lot of people who know that college isn't the answer, but they don't know what the hell to do. And it's really tough.
And if they're pressured by their family, it's not that maybe their parents, perhaps born in the 50s or 60s, are wrong. It's just that the college of the 60s and 70s is far different than the college of today. And that takes me back to the point, is like, look, if the college of today brings you this results, of what use was going to college in the first place?
Yeah. I mean, so what would you do if you weren't going to college, if you were 18 years old today, Justin? Because we have a lot of friends in that situation.
So I guess what I would do if I was like starting off like right now, knowing what I know now, etc., I would probably say I would seek to make myself useful, probably try to find some hustle. As far as school goes, I do find accounting to be useful, but I would do it like part-time. I would start at community college.
Well, what would you learn at school that you can't learn on your own?
So in this case, what I think school can still help you is that if you need to have a technical part of your career, for example, if you want to be an aerospace engineer or like a petroleum engineer, yeah, like schools, I think, still do a good job of teaching people the technical aspects of being a technician. So, okay, fine, that hasn't been completely screwed up yet, but everything else, the vast majority of everything else is just this quagmire of garbage. It's like anti-knowledge. It's going to make you dumber in the end. So I guess what I would seek to do is I would first seek to answer the question, like, look, how much money, like bare minimum, do I need to support myself? And then like, what's like a comfortable level? And then what's like, a God tier level? And then I would say, okay, well, listen, what can I do over the next maybe 5 years to get to this point? And here's another thing. I don't know if I told you this before, Josh. Maybe I haven't told Nathan this either. But like, generally, like the answer, whether you want to say God will provide it for you, or the universe, or like whatever, right? The answer is actually probably already around there. It's just that many people, they see the answer, but they just assume it's not the answer because they already know what the answer is going to be. In other words, they say like, look, this is what I want, and I know this is exactly what I want, but what they actually need, this goes back to the gambling thing you made earlier, right? Is that like, well, wait a minute. Sometimes the most impractical, from the perspective of the people currently in the situation, might actually be the most logical thing. You just have to come at it from a different angle. So again, keep an open mind, all that stuff. But to answer your question shortly, I would seek a way to make myself useful and develop passive income streams.
Yeah, and for me, when I think of being useful, it's just making other people money. If you make someone else a lot more money than they're paying you, they want to keep you around.